G'day everybody, it's Lee here and welcome to the Art House Railway. It's great to have you on board, and look, today we'll be diving into laying some foam sheets. So this is great actually. I wanted to test whether it would actually sound deaden your locos a bit. So I'm actually covering my whole layout with this foam sheet, and look, the foam sheet itself, it's not like the white polystyrene that crumbles away and it just falls away into nothing. It's actually quite tightly packed. Very hard when you actually hit it, but it cuts really easy. So I'm looking forward to show you this product today. It's great, and I think it will make a difference to sound deadening. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So if you want to know what's really good for cutting your foam sheeting, then this plaster knife is a great tool. It's quite a stiff blade. It's quite sharp, and it really makes light work of this foam. And as you can see here, if you can just see this edge here, it's great for getting that shaped foam cutting edge just along the edge of your risers. So when you lay it on the layout, you can build it up into a nice hill shape, or make a cutting from where your track's running through a cutting or something like that. So I reckon this is a really good stuff to mould actually. Now also, down the track, we'll be covering this with sculptor mould. So it doesn't matter what it looks like, it can be quite rough, it doesn't really matter. You can use multiple pieces to fill up a little section. That's the beauty of it too. It doesn't really matter what it looks like. You're just really forming the basic shape of your hills and valleys and sort of the contours of your layout. So other tools I found particularly useful is this hacksaw, which obviously extends out the end, because this actual hacksaw blade does cut really smooth edges on your foam. So just to give you an example, if I just make a cut down here, it cuts really simply, nothing hard. I'm just pushing it backwards and forwards. Works really well. As you can see there, it's quite a neat finish on that edge. That cuts really easy. That's the beauty of this foam, is it doesn't make a lot of mess. Yes, it makes crumbs, but not half as many as that white polystyrene. Now we're simply cutting the foam to match the baseboard shape, and in the lifting section here, we're just using a thicker foam so we can get that track to run straight over the top of those hinges there. It's pretty simple to cut the shapes out, as you see here. And yes, the good old cleanup. You need a vacuum cleaner handy. It's also very important to allow the foam to adhere to the baseboard. Now we've cut most of the foam now, and it's really just a dry fit before we glue it all down. Now the foam is also perfect for making your own inclines, and you can just see how thinly it can be sliced here. And as you can see, it's really easy to mock up a small tunnel, and also shown here is the inclines that I've made. And as you can see here, it's quite easy to carve some landscape, some hills, some valleys. And also we've split leveled the track as well. One's running up on an incline, and it's just very easy to cut out yourself. The wooden scenic inclines are fantastic, but you know, I'm a cheapskate and wanted to cut my own. I think it works out quite well. It's not as hard as you think. It's very simple to glue down this sheeting. I'm just using this Sikabond construction adhesive. It's used for plywood, timber, tiles. It says on here polystyrene. That is a really important one. If you can get one that suits polystyrene, it's a very safe one. It's sort of a water-based version, so it will not destroy your foam and eat it away. It's great for open pore surfaces like timber and polystyrene. It sticks easy, and I'll just show you how you apply it to the foam board, especially the sheeting, to get it adhered really nicely. Now you can weigh it down. You don't need too much weight on it. Literally just pushing it down is nearly enough to actually hold it in place. So I just want to show you this irregular shaped piece of foam, that how to cork it down, how to lay out your corking on here to make it really nice and even. So So what we want to do, just with this red texture, is you want to put a bead probably about an inch in from the outside, run it all the way around the outside here. As you can see, it runs all the way around, and then basically it's probably about 2 inches in strips. Just leave a 2-inch strip, as you can see there, and another one. Okay, run another bead there, another bead there, and maybe a little bit in here, and that is more than enough to do this one big piece. Doesn't need to be a huge fat bead, just a nice simple bead, keeping it even as you bead it round, and that's it. Basically just turn it over and glue it down. The reason why I like doing the pieces is if you tend to put it on the work area first, I find that you tend to get it all over yourself. For some reason it seems to be on a flat surface. This way you're putting it straight onto the surface you need, flipping it over, and then bang, you just sit it in place. So I think the best thing about this caulking gun is it gives you a bit of time to work with it. You can slide it around, you get a little bit of time. You can even lift it back up if you weren't quite happy or didn't cut the piece of foam correctly. So it's quite easy to work with for a little while before it actually hardens off. Now some sort of glues, it'll just be a bang, it'll be straight on and you have no choice but to leave it like that. Now if you do have an overhang of some of your bench work in areas, that's fine. Just leave it, let it dry, and you can come back and cut it off later. It's very, very versatile, the foam, to be able to cut it away. So I really love this stuff. A lot of people don't like it because of the mess, but this stuff I think will just make things easier, especially like cutting little culverts beside your track or little ditches, drains, everything like that. I think this is really the way to go. As you can see here, it's pretty easy to carve out and glue down, and as you can see with this lifting section, holds really well onto the baseboard. No problems at all lifting this whole scene up. Okay, so I couldn't resist laying some track in the yard and getting that first run from the lower level up to the upper level done, only because it had to be done first anyway. So the inclines laid on board and everywhere else is foam, so I'm really interested to see whether foam will be quieter. But first let's test this bit of track on a nice slow speed run. So we've got the little GWR pannier tank just doing its thing. Goes across the points quite well. And I'm a big believer of using long radius points where possible, and then in the tighter section of the yard it goes to medium radius points. The simple reason is I really like that nice flow into a yard. I don't like it too sharp, especially using bigger locos, which I want to run on the layout eventually. So while this pannier tank's making its way up the hill, it's actually not doing too bad. It's staying consistent speed. So every track has got a dropper. It's all just code 100 Pico flex track. And it seems to handle it quite well, and the largest radius curves I could actually get around the back of this layout. As you can see, it's just built on an 18mm plank basically, and it has a sort of a dense foam thin underlay under the track. Would you say foam rubber type of stuff? As you can see here, this black stuff. I think it's handled it quite well, no problems at all with the track, thankfully. Okay, so I've laid the foam, we've got the first section of track in, coming out of the yard, up the incline and onto the top of the layout, and I just wanted to test with this sound pressure level meter whether it really does make a difference to put foam down on your layout first. I'm sure it will, but you know, I'm keen to see if that will actually work. So let's have a look. Okay, so the speed's set to 50% and the SPL meter is 100mm from the track. Let's go. So we've got a reading of 0 decibels on the foam. And plus 4 decibels on the actual timber board. So as you can see, not an absolutely huge difference, but I think you can hear even with the audio that it's not as board-like sounding on the foam. So I guess it does actually do something at least. To my ears anyway. Anyway, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below if you think that foam is better. Well, thanks very much for watching, everyone. It's really been enjoyable making you this content. Please consider subscribing to the channel. We really want to reach that 1,000 subscribers as quickly as possible so I can share more progress photos on the community posts with you, and it'd be great to build this art house railway community. So I'm looking forward to that. In the next episode, we're talking about, well, I think I'll have to show you actually. We're going to be showing you what I bought to get started with my railway. Basically just to test the locomotives around the track. We're going DCC, so this is a great set. This is the mixed traffic Hornby set. We'll be going through this and why I chose it. And we laying track work, going through some wiring options, all in the next episode. So please consider subscribing. Once again, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Okay, so I have this plaster knife handy, and I think jeez, I'm hopeless at this stuff.